Welcome to the Sapphire Tech YouTube channel. I'm Zacubus and I've got another video card review for you now, and this is the Tri-X R9 280X Overclock Edition card. Now it's a mid to high end card. It costs around £240 if you look online at the right places. Maybe you can probably find it cheaper than I can. But first off, you'll notice is that it's absolutely ginormous. Now these cards do get big once you get to this level. I'm just trying to pick up the 250X for comparison. As you can see, it's absolutely ginormous, the 280X, and that size became a little bit of a problem in my case because the hard drive bays did sort of clash with it, and so I had to remove the hard drive bay. Luckily I have a case that does that, but some of you out there that are looking to upgrade might not be that lucky, and you might have to upgrade your case as well if you want to get a more powerful graphics card running through your system to get some awesome power on those graphics. So bear that in mind. I did a bit of case surgery and I have a lot of hard drives, and so now I've got a random SSD sticking out and it looks a bit ugly, and I had to do some cable remanagement as well just to power up the card because it does require a little bit of extra power. But let's see some of the features that this card can do and also check out the FPS results it can do. So the Tri-X R9 280X Overclock Edition is a rather beautiful card, you've got to admit. I love the colour scheme on it. It's very shiny, and that Sapphire logo when it lights up in your case is always lovely to stare at for a while. But this cooler, the Tri-X cooler, is remarkably good. Connected to the 5 copper pipes in there somewhere. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm sure there's a bit of copper lighting going in there. And with these fans attached to them as well, it keeps it nice and cool. And not only that, very quiet as well. I didn't really notice much noise coming from this card whatsoever, and I've used a lot of Sapphire graphics cards recently and they've been all remarkably very quiet. Also, what's cool about this is that it's got a really nice back plate onto there, so you're going to keep it safe from stabbing screwdrivers if you happen to be upgrading your case or whatever. Also, so we've got the crossfire bridge on this side here. Ooh, I've just trapped my finger. So crossfire here, so you can have, I think, up to 4 cards that you can crossfire with the 280X. We also have, right there is the button for the dual BIOS. So pressing this in and then pressing it out, whatever, you can switch to another BIOS. So if you happen to overclock it and you brick it or fail miserably while overclocking, like I probably would, you can have a chance to redeem this card still. And then we have the power connection right here. So you need 2 8-pin power adapters to go in there, and you need 700 watts, it says on the box. It's not entirely true. I run a Be Quiet 630 watt power supply, runs this card just fine. So the ports on the 280X are a dual DVI port, which is great for 120Hz upwards, so great for those competitive FPS players. And the single DVI port here, great for just a secondary monitor, HDMI, and then 2 mini display ports. You also get the adapter in the box, just one though, but still very useful. And what's interesting is that you can actually run Eyefinity using the 2 DVIs and the HDMI actively, so it should work just by plugging in through those ports. And you can have up to 5 screens, I believe, on this card as well, using the mini display ports as well. And if you use a MST hub, you can have up to 6 displays running off this one card. Now for some FPS results with Battlefield 4 on ultra high settings, and this card was an absolute pleasure to run on ultra settings. It's the first card that I've actually reviewed that I felt as if I could leave on ultra settings and continue playing because it gave a really smooth performance. There was very few sort of lag spikes, only on the very high end demanding maps. So this gave a really good performance on the ultra settings, but that's kind of what you would expect for a 200 quid graphics card. On the low settings, even better, 148 frames average, brilliant for those competitive Battlefield players or people that really need to get as much FPS to get that competitive edge that they need. And this card really does it all. It does the casual very well, it does the high-end sort of pro gamer very well. And what I like about this card is when I'm commentating a game or shoutcasting a game, that I can actually up the details to make the game look a lot prettier on stream, and people enjoy that a lot more and engage with it a lot more. So this card just has a great all-round package. Now for some thief benchmarking, because I like to compare Mantle versus DirectX, And there are only a few games that utilize the Mantle engine, and FIFA is one of those, and it's got a good benchmarking tool, so that's why I use it. Now, it's important to note that Mantle, is only used on a few games. It's an additional awesome bonus if you can use it on the games that you love the most. But bear in mind that I think you should be always looking towards more of the DirectX results, as they're going to give a better comparison against other graphics card that you'll be reviewing against when you're trying to pick out your card that you want to buy. But the Mantle results on FIFA are really, really crazy for this card. So we're getting 66 frames average on high settings for Mantle. This is at 1080p versus the high settings on DirectX, which came in at 54. So that's 12 FPS difference going in favor of Mantle. But on the low settings at the same resolution, I was getting 113 frames on Mantle and only 59 on DirectX 11. Now, I ran this benchmark a good couple of times after seeing this result just to double check to see if it was right, if there wasn't a mistake, and it always came out the same. And it's essentially double the FPS while running Mantle API on low settings, which is remarkably good. And another good reason why the 280X is a really special card. Now, to round up this review, the 280X performance-wise was incredibly solid throughout. I really didn't feel as if I needed to turn down many details whatsoever like I usually do on the previous cards that you've seen. This is probably the first card that I've used that I've gone, I would actually buy this for my main rig. The 280X just has enough power out of it and a good price point to make it a good main rig buy, especially if you've got a budget between £600 and £700. I think you could really squeeze in a decent system with this card in there. The only downside to it was that, it's big and you might have to do some case surgery. But apart from that, it's well worth the buy for the power that you get out of it. It's well worth putting up with that effort just to get some extra power and FPS running through your system.